Knockout Legends in the building. Like, comment, and subscribe. So today I'm going to talk about Carl Froch and George Groves. Now they have a podcast called The Verdict, which they do with Talksport. So I'm going to play a clip and then I'm going to unpack what they have to say after the clip. So without further ado.
Someone I don't think is the best heavyweight in the world, but I think you do. You think he's the best heavyweight in the world. Maybe not now, but up against a UFC fighter, a cage fighter who's never boxed before. So I just thought, wow, Fury will pull him round. They might go the distance, they might not, but there'll be no problem for Fury at all. And then by the end of the fight, I'm scratching my head thinking, is he even going to get... Well, we know he's going to get the win. You know they're going to give it to him, but was he a deserving winner? Probably not.
When you say you know he's going to get the win and you know they're going to give it to him, why do you say that? What's your, you must have a reason for that.
Well, it was supposed to be an exhibition, so it's not a real fight, and you've got Tyson Fury fighting Alexander Usyk in 7 weeks' time for all the marbles, for, road to undisputed, every single belt. So you can't have the spanner thrown in the works of him losing to an MMA fighter only weeks ahead of, the biggest fight in boxing likely right now. So it felt, once he went to the scorecards, I thought, well, there's no way Fury's not going to get it. What did you think?
So are you saying that the only reason that Tyson Fury got his hand raised and the only reason he got the decision is because of the upcoming fight with Usyk? I think because of the money. Well, you've pretty much just said that, haven't you? But there's just one for clarity.
Well, I'd say I wasn't sitting there with a scorecard, right? But it felt to me like he probably lost. The general consensus was that Ngganou had won. And it's a split decision. It's one of them ones, it's not going to go down in the ages as the worst robbery of time. We know what they're like, Cole. But I thought he was lucky. He was lucky to get the nod. He got it by 3 rounds with one judge. I thought that was pretty unfair. I thought Ngganou was landing the better shots, the more eye-catching shots, the heavier shots. And Fury he wasn't really there. Why do you think he struggled so much? I mean, on paper, no one thought this was going to be the case before the fight.
No, nobody thought Ngganou could give the best heavyweight in the world. And you did say that earlier. I think Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight in the world. Right now, I think he probably is. And I expected Ngganou to go in there, have a little go for a couple of rounds, and then get conclusively outboxed behind the jab and whooped. And he didn't, did he? He was in the fight from the off. He scored that knockdown in round 3, that shock knockdown. I think he should have gone for broke then, Ngganou. Very big, strong man, confident. And to answer your question, why do I think Fury struggled? I think almost a year out of the ring's too long for anybody in any weight division, especially heavyweight division. And Fury puts a lot of weight on. I know the heavyweights don't have to make weight, but you do have an optimal fight weight at heavyweight, and he needs to get below 20 stone usually. And I don't know, he looked a bit ring rusty. He was behind his jab. He was throwing combination punches, but he didn't look as good as he's looked in the past. But Ngganou was exceptionally very good, considering that was his professional debut. And it sounds ridiculous that we're even saying that this is a match and it was a competitive match, because it was very competitive. Arguably, Tyson Fury got the decision against all odds and against the scorecard. I mean, was it a robbery? I think a lot of people are saying it was a robbery.
Cole, do you think Tyson has had competitive sparring this year? At his age now, I think he's been a professional for maybe nearly 15 years. He's been professional a long time. He's been involved in big fight after big fight. He's been at the top level for a long, long time. He hasn't had a real fight on the horizon this year. And is he saving himself? Because it felt to me like once the fight started, he hadn't been in a real fight for a long time. And when he was getting caught, he had that look of someone, not so much with ring rust, but someone who's not used to getting hit and hasn't been hit for a long time. And Ngganou, brand new. His debut, hasn't boxed before. He's been boxing for weeks, a couple of months in the process, in the build-up for this fight. But strong guy, so he was able to hold his stance, hold his form. The punches weren't great. They were slow, but they were weighty enough because he's a strong guy. And Fury, who likes to punch and then hold, you can't hold with an MMA guy because that is their bread and butter. If you're going to punch and then fall on top and use your size and try and wrestle with a guy who's always going to beat you in that stance, it to me felt like definitely underprepared. Maybe overlooking Ngannou.
Yeah, potentially. Fury maybe struggled because he'd not had the sparring, he'd not taken the fight seriously, and obviously when you're ill prepared and you think it's going to be a walkover, because everybody, including myself, thought the fight was going to be a mismatch and a walkover, and I was probably basing it on a crossover fight between Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather, which might be a bad example because Floyd Mayweather's so good, is really exceptional, maybe one of the greatest fighters of all time, Floyd Mayweather. So for Conor McGregor to get into the ring against him and expect to do well, we blamed it on the fact that he's a mixed martial arts fighter, MMA fighter, and not a boxer. But actually, most boxers struggle against Mayweather. You've got Ngganou getting in the ring last night against Fury. We're thinking Ngannou's making his pro debut, but Fury's the best heavyweight in the world. He's WBC lineal heavyweight champion. So he's got no chance. And actually, Ngannou was in the fight, counter-punching, looking for the jab. He landed that left hook in round 3, and did he make a mockery of the current heavyweight champion? What did Fury do? What did he do wrong? Fury may be ill-prepared, but he was still behind his jab. He was still throwing plenty of feints. But Ngannou was very, very good. I thought Ngganou was exceptionally good for a debutant. And, yeah, I didn't score the fight either. I certainly watched it. I didn't score it, but you get a feel for who you think's won the fight. And with that knockdown in round 3, I just think Ngganou won that fight. I think the CompuBox statistics shows that Fury landed more punches in probably 6 or 7 of the rounds, but they're counting jabs as well, and a lot of jabs. I mean, if somebody lands 10 clean jabs in one round, and then the opposing fighter lands one big right hand, who wins that round? The guy who's got behind his jab, or the guy that's landed the eye-catching right hand and looks like he's hurt the opponent? It's subjective. Me, myself, I like to see a big right hand land and some damage be done, and you think, oh, he's winning the fight here, he's just landed a big right hand. Some people like to see, the purists like to see somebody behind the jab, winning behind the jab. So you could argue a lot of the rounds that were close maybe could have gone to Fury. But if you're going to say this is a fight, who's winning the fight and who won the fight, just look at Tyson Fury's face at the end of the fight. His left eye was nearly closed, got a little nick on his head, and Ngganou was unmarked pretty much. And Fury looked like he got beat up. And he won a split decision. So I agree with you. I think he won the split decision because of the future, what's happening. You know, the Saudi money's massive. They've got big expectations on the 23rd of December with the unification fight between Fury and Usyk. So unfortunately for Ngganou, he's fought the fight of his life in his pro debut against arguably the best heavyweight of the current era. And he's been robbed of a decision, which sounds ridiculous and ludicrous, but I think the general consensus is exactly what I've just said. Ngganou was robbed.
So from the clip right there, we get a lot to unpack and look at. Now, Froch gives Ngannou his dues and asks a lot of pertinent questions. Now, they didn't score the fight between the two of them, and they subjectively break it down how everybody else and the rest of the public is thinking. Now, they called it a robbery. Now, if they'd have looked at the fight more clearly and conclusively, I'm sure they probably would maybe find an argument that Tyson Fury arguably won, maybe by a draw, or possibly it could have been a draw, but Fury just about won. But the fact that certain things that they said, that Froch said, could actually be true. People always scream robbery when a fight's close. Now, there is a few factors what they bring up in the analysis of the fight, which I've already covered on one of my other videos, but it is actually true. They didn't think that Fury took the fight serious. They didn't think that Ngganou would have had a chance because he's not boxed before. They didn't realise that he is instinctively a good fighter. They realise that now because obviously they're saying look at Fury at the end of the fight and look at Ngganou. Maybe Fury's aged overnight, but he didn't take the fight serious. I honestly don't think he took the preparation, and I don't think he even trained for the fight, to be fair. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't even train. I wouldn't be surprised if he did like a month's training, if that, or a couple of weeks training. I think he just took it like it's nothing, and he just went in there and just tried to do what he wanted to do, and it didn't work. It backfired. It's kind of like when Mike Tyson did that with Buster Douglas. Remember, Tyson got robbed because the count went to 13, and Douglas got up and then obviously knocked Tyson out. But like, this count was, I think, was fast as well for Tyson as well. So I don't know, but like, this is a Tyson that was out of control on drugs, didn't train, and just got up off the couch doing whatever he was doing and drinking, partying, and went in the ring and did that to Buster Douglas. And Buster Douglas arguably had a good catalyst to win, because obviously his mother died. But after that fight, he didn't do anything. So I'm not saying he was a rubbish fighter, but sometimes on that night, if it's your night, it can be your night. But anyway, coming back to this fight, it was an upset. And if it wasn't an upset, it was also a humbling. I think it was a humbling. And everything that they say, I kind of agree with, because what can you really say? Most of the public thinks that Fury won the fight because he was the boxer, and it was a robbery, and you know, the fight was a lot closer than it was. And on one of the judges' scorecards, they had Tyson winning by 3 rounds, and now that's ludicrous. That is actual like corruption. But if one of the judges give it to Ngganou and then the other judge give it to Fury, and it's by 1 point either way, that's a fair assessment. So the last judge should have had it at least by 1 point, or maybe arguably 2 rounds, but not 3. 3 is a joke, you know. But like he said, we don't know what they're scoring. Are they scoring jabs or are they scoring eye-catching shots? You know, it's a combination of both in my eyes, where if nothing's happening in the round, but neither person's made like a telling big shot and they're not connected, then whoever's connecting with the best jabs, the best boxing work, wins the round. And that's kind of what won, I think, Fury the fight with the 9th and the 10th round, because there wasn't really much action because both were tired, but Fury's instinctual boxing style just took over, where he just jabbed and kept moving, and that's what won him the fight. And yeah, it was by more or less on my own scorecard by 1 point, but he won. Do you know what I mean? So there is grounds where it could be called a robbery. It just depends on how you look at the fight. It was a close fight, but again, I think it's Fury's own fault, because he didn't take Francis serious, and then he tried to come out and bulldoze him and try to manhandle him, and that doesn't work. Not with an MMA fighter that's strong and wrestles anyway, and is used to people trying to manhandle him and wrestle him. It don't work that. When you know your base is your base, that's, you know, what you can do. But anyway, back to Froch and Groves. Both agree that Fury didn't take the fight serious, and Fury basically arguably got beat. So don't really know what to say. And does this actually throw undisputed up in the air? Because there was no press conference afterwards. There was no announcing undisputed afterwards. So it kind of leaves doubt to what's going to actually happen next. Will Fury rematch him? Will Fury leave like that? Is 7 weeks enough for Fury to get in shape? Because he does, from the looks of that fight, he didn't look like 7 weeks is enough. I don't think 7 weeks is enough for Fury. And one thing I mentioned is when he went down in the crowd, Usyk looked distraught, because he's thinking, flipping heck, the undisputed fight is going to be up in the air. I'm not going to get undisputed. Now, don't get me wrong, Usyk's probably thinking, I'm not going to make no money, but like, that's true. But not just that, he's not going to actually be able to say he's the best, because he's not beat who everyone says is the best. But if this is the best version of Tyson Fury now that we've got, then at this point, I think AJ would steamroll him, and Usyk would arguably beat him. If this is on Fury on his current form of what he's doing, you know, it remains to be seen. But anyway, what do you think about Froch and Groves' decision and what they said about the fight? Do you agree? Do you think it was a robbery? Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Like, comment, and subscribe. And that is another one from Knockout Legends. Peace.